Good afternoon, guys. I wanted to do a little video to address something that came up over the weekend, and it seems to have caused a little bit of a stir within our fan group, especially with the old school, and maybe not so much with the newer type supporter, especially overseas, perhaps because they don't fully understand the associations that we have. But it concerns our captain leader legend, John Terry, who of course was spotted at the Old Firm game, Celtic versus Rangers, wearing the colours of Celtic. I believe, and I didn't even know this myself, that John Terry is indeed a supporter of Celtic, and he even ended up doing a little rendition of himself and "You'll Never Walk Alone," which Celtic have adopted because they do have close ties with Liverpool. But it's affected quite a number of our fan base. In fact, some have even gone as far as to say that, as far as they're concerned, the associations that they used to, the thought process they had with John Terry, has now really been tainted as a result of him wearing the colours of Celtic. Well, look, we're in 2022 and we are a different animal these days. We are an international football club of all faiths, all religions, and we're very inclusive as a football club these days. And the association between Celtic and Rangers, for people that don't know, and the links that we have as a football club, do go back a long way. And there is a divide that has always been there, Catholic and Protestant, in reference to Northern Ireland. A lot of Catholic settlers came to Scotland, came to Glasgow, and they formed their own football club, a Catholic football club. And there was a point where no Catholic would ever play for Rangers, and no Protestant would ever play for Celtic. And there's a lot of unpleasantries between the two because of that factor, but it's becoming less and less of a situation. Obviously the rivalry's still there, but it's nothing as to where it was back in the day, and that's a good thing, because we as a populace, everyone's moved on, and as I say, this particular situation has really caused a stir with a lot of our supporters, because we have a massive association with Glasgow Rangers. We're called the Blues Brothers, Rangers and Chelsea. They are literally like that as a fan base. Even today, and our away supporters will tell you this, all the games we play in the Northwest, there's a massive handful of Rangers that turn up for those games, in particular when we play at Newcastle, because they come over the border, and they're always there in mass numbers at that particular game. Lots of songs sung about Rangers. And our association with them goes all the way back. In fact, our roots and our colours, our blue colours, iconic colours, have Scottish connotations. And Rangers and Celtic, I can only tell you my experience. In 1985, there was a benefit match at Stamford Bridge for the Bradford fire disaster. And I can tell you that day that the police were out en masse, expecting massive problems, massive trouble. There was lots of trouble when we played Celtic a few years back, I've got to tell you that now. But this particular occasion, the police kind of misread it completely, and they were out on force, expecting the worst. And nothing like that happened. In fact, the shed was singing songs about Rangers, we love you Rangers, and all that. And the Rangers fans in the North Stand, on the terraces at that time, were all singing Chelsea songs. It was indeed a complete and utter love fest. After the game, Chelsea and Rangers were mixing in the streets, and we continued to go into the station, onto the platform. And I remember this really, really vividly. The police, who were really upset, because they were expecting trouble all day. I remember them coming down en masse, down the steps of Earls Court, onto the platform, and they just started whacking out. And a few people reacted. One particular guy, Tommy White, I remember him being attacked, and he got arrested. And I remember I was one of 20 or 30 people at Knightsbridge Crown Court to give evidence, because he'd done nothing wrong. It was indeed a love fest. And of course, since then, lots of games have happened between the two clubs. where Chelsea fans have gone up to Glasgow, never had to buy a pint, absolutely, because the Rangers are just so accommodating. And I know loads of people, lots of Chelsea supporters. Francis CFC Stanley, for example, on this particular channel, she's got a Glasgow Rangers tattoo on her arm, and she's as proud of that as she is with regards to Chelsea. She's got Scottish roots, and it does go back, guys, to a kind of linkage, because when we talk in terms of the Blues Brothers, you have to indeed include Linfield in that as well, and it's to do with being a Protestant, or being a royalist, a unionist, yeah, and that was definitely how we were seen as a football club. In fact, if you go back to our origins, we are an old Etonian football club. Our colours come from the Earl of Cadogan, and the Cadogan family go all the way back to the end of the 15th century, start of the 16th century, and the 6th Earl of Cadogan, his racing colours were like a teal colour. That was our colour in 1905 to 1907. That was our original colour, like Cadogan blue, white shorts and black socks. That was the Chelsea colours. And of course, we changed in 1907 to royal blue. And you might know it's an Eton blue colour, and today it's called a Cambridge blue. And when you have the boat race between Cambridge and Oxford, they are indeed the Cambridge colours. And it's Eton associations. Well, we have a lot of Conservative MPs, or just people from gentry, that tend to support Chelsea. We've got the Duchess of Cambridge. She's a Chelsea supporter. And it goes all the way back. John Major, former Prime Minister, David Cameron's another one. There's many MPs, George Osborne, and if you notice with the consortiums that are being put together, the number of Tory or Conservative MPs or peers, it does tend to be that situation, and that is our origins, guys, and you can't dispute that factor. Hence the reason why I do get it to a degree, but it's 2022, and I just feel that John Terry's entitled to fucking wear what he likes, and if it's Celtic, so be it. It is what it is. We don't live in the past. Yes, I understand the links with Glasgow Rangers, of course. I fully appreciate that. I mean, for me, I'm a Rangers man as well. Not massively so, but I'm Glasgow Rangers because of the association, but not to the point where, I am Chelsea at the end of the day, and that is the be-all and end-all of it. So for me, John Terry can do whatever he likes. So I understand why it's causing such a kerfuffle, but by the same token, I feel you have to put things into perspective. It's not really that relevant. And look, John Terry is seen as Mr. Chelsea, I guess. So when Mr. Chelsea dons the Celtic green, in fact, you know what? I've got more of an issue with the fact that he actually joined in with "You'll Never Walk Alone" because of the Liverpool angle, and the Catholic angle. And I remember back in the 80s, there used to be ski-acts was the main thing. I hope you remember them, guys. But it used to be like a half and half ski-act, where you would have one English side and then one Scottish side. For example, Tottenham would have Aberdeen, because they've got massive associations with Aberdeen. Both Merseyside clubs, when we went to Everton, they'd have the Everton blue, and then they'd have the Celtic green. And of course, Liverpool was always red one side and green the other, because Merseyside is a Catholic city. A lot of people sort of come over from Ireland into Merseyside, into Liverpool, and settled, obviously. So therefore, they're going to, because they see themselves as being Catholic. I mean, that's the way it kind of is with those two clubs. If you're Church of England or a Protestant, and anyone that knows their history about this nation, this country, will tell you that originally we were a Catholic country. It was only when King Henry VIII wanted to marry Anne Boleyn, his second wife, who he ended up taking her head off anyway. And funny enough, the 19th of the 5th, 1536, at the Tower of London, it was Thomas Cromwell and the Reformation. So all them old churches in our country right now were originally Catholic churches. We were a Catholic country until it come to that point with Thomas Cromwell, and that's the reason why in the Lord's Prayer it says right at the end, thine is the kingdom, the power and glory forever and ever, amen. Catholics don't say that, but of course Protestants do. Listen, I'm Church of England, but you know, I'm not, you know, I'm Rangers, but it's not that the be all and end all for me. As far as I'm concerned, John Terry can wear exactly what he wants, and it's rather interesting with the Earl of Cadogan. The Cadogan now, there is now, of course, the 7th Earl of Cadogan, and they own most of the property, the iconic buildings in Kensington and Chelsea, and the coat of arms is, and this is why we went from Cadogan blue to red. The coat of arms for the Metropolitan Borough of Chelsea, and the iconic animal on the shield is, of course, the lion, and of course the Lion of Scotland, and the union between England and Scotland. And as we know, we became a union. You know, we become less separate countries, and we become a union, a united kingdom, and thus is our history. Listen, guys, I can go on and on and on about this forever and a day. Look, bottom line is, John Terry can do exactly what he likes. Come on, guys, let's calm it down a bit. It is what it is. Of course you can love Rangers. Of course you can still have that association in your mind. But it is 2022, and you know, it's all about multi-faith, multiracial, and inclusivity. And so, therefore, you know, he can do exactly what he likes. Just not You Never Walk Alone. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think down below. Is it time to call a fucking time on that? And what do you think about John Terry wearing Celtic green at the Old Firm game? And let me know, guys, down below.